A government shutdown looms as we sit and try to figure out whether or not our representation has the stones to go back and actually make this go through. We'll talk about what's happening there, what's causing this, why I told you so 2 months ago, and what is going to happen on the next step. In other news, a 15-year-old teenage girl gets in contact with a handgun and takes shots at a Madison area Christian school. This one hits a little bit close to home to me because I know people who have gone to that school. And I have done work contracted with that school as well. So we'll talk about what's happening with that, where we go with that, and what's happening then. Drones! Drones are everywhere in the Northeast to begin with, and now over Ohio and Tacoma. We'll talk about some of the theories going behind these drones, what the most likely possibility is for this, and where we have gone with that. And in a weird double Trump news week, Judge Merchan says that he will uphold the 34 felony counts that came through his court, which was absolutely expected. I don't know why Mega is going fucking crazy over that. But also, ABC News says that they will pay a $15 million settlement to a library of Trump's choosing. It is going to be all of this and more over here on Contemporary. So strap yourselves in, find some friends, and let everybody know that it is time for the news. And glorious now, behold him arise, King and God and sacrifice. Alleluia, alleluia, sounds through the earth and skies. I'm J. Edgar, and this is Contemporary. Apologize in advance for my voice. As most of you probably noticed, there was no Fallout Friday this week. I took on a very, very terrible head cold. I am shaking off the last little bits of it. I know it's into my voice. I know it's into my sinuses. I know I shut down the camera on the Instagram side as well to go back and blow my nose, because pretty much as soon as I started talking in the cold open, it just started bubbling up in the back of my nose, and, well, that kind of sucked. And usually I don't go through that on cold season because, well, I don't really get sick that often. And you guys saw me do Contemporary through COVID. 2 weeks worth of that shit. 0 out of 10. Do not recommend. But typically this was a early spring to late fall thing for me, as allergy season kicked my ass. So a lot of you are used to me turning off the camera, getting up and going to blow my nose or something like that. But yeah, I was usually able to stop and do a video there, but yeah, I mean, it snuck up on me today. So we do have a lot to go over here today. I wish that we would not have an epic, historic news week. at some point here. I wish that we could go back to having contemporary be 30, 45 minutes. It's just, they keep piling so much more stuff on. For those of you who are wondering the lateness over the past few weeks, I do apologize for that. There has been a real estate venture that is coming up that I've been working with on my day off from my regular 40-hour-a-week job that has added a 90-minute commute to my Tuesdays. So with that in mind, yes, the start times are going to get a bit erratic, probably into February, most likely. So right now, we're trying to figure out what's going to happen with that and where that goes. I think it's going to be good news. There's been a little bit of a scuffle and scuttlebutt through there. I think that's a part of the process. So most of you know I came into this with an identity theft sitting over my head, so this is a huge deal for me. And I hope to see everybody through this and off to the other side. I hope that I'm not going to sit and take a month off like I did when I moved into this little closet that I live in. I hope the transition will be a little bit smoother and we can get back to work right away, because this is going to be just about inauguration time. Whatever happens on inauguration day, if there is a new January 6th. I did not put that on the news today, but yes, there are Redditors who are starting to threaten that. That's going to be possibly a thing in the near future, but the news is going to stop for nobody, and it's just going to get wild over the next 4 years, I predict. So I'm going to be here every Tuesday to break it down to you from somebody who doesn't really care for anybody who is sitting in any office. Maybe Rand Paul. I like Rand Paul. But we've got a lot to go over here today, so we're going to get started over here on Contemporary. Before we do, make sure you guys go check out great programming, such as Overruled with Katie Z, who is doing concurrently with me right now Booze and Body Cams. That's usually a Wednesday night stream for them, but we are here working against them. I hate to work against Katie Z on that, but you know, scheduling is scheduling. So after the fact, go and check the live replay of Katie Z's Booze and Body Cams. That is over on her Discord. Go check out the Daily Ignoramus if you want some music, some news, some comedy that goes with that. I gotta see what it is he's actually doing, because I know he wants to move away from news and politics and go into more of his music stuff, which I support. He does great music. I want to sit down and talk to him with that, but we've got a lot to go over here today. If you like what you see, please leave it in the live chat if you could. That really helps me out. The more you chat, the better we do on the algorithm. So, always looking forward to that. We have got a lot to go over here today, and let's get started. Set my news scene up here. I have the Rumble sitting up here so you guys can chat over there. I've got a live chat bot sitting here so I can read what you guys are doing on screen and on stream as we go. And let's get started. We're going to start today with the Dow, which is actually on a big losing streak right now. There are some things that are going on with that, and some of the things are going to make me a little bit happy if they go through. I'll tell you that right off the bat. I'm not going to say what, because we're not going to give any official financial advice here, but we are on the 9th losing day of the Dow right now. It is still near record highs, keep in mind, so it's not losing by much. But the Dow is down to 43,449.90. That is a steady 5-day drop from the last time we went. And yes, if you go up to the month, you can see where it came back up and peaked, and then just started to collapse as we go. There's a lot of stuff moving for that, though, too. So we'll see what's happening with that. I actually pulled up 2 finance articles today. Usually we only do 1, but I wanted to talk a bit about the longest losing streak as well. So let's analyze that. Starting with IBD. Dow Futures, Fed looms as Nvidia market weaken, Tesla keeps running, from Ed Carson. Dow Futures rose slightly after hours while the S&P and the Nasdaq edged lower. The Federal Reserve meeting decision looms Wednesday afternoon at the hawkish Fed rate cut expected. The stock market rally saw continued weak breadth. The Nasdaq dipped from record highs as even most growth leaders came out under some pressure. The Dow Jones undercut key support as its losing streak is now the longest streak since 1978. Nvidia fell again, triggering multiple sell signals, with Microsoft the latest negative catalyst. Nvidia stock did come off lows. Tesla rose again, increasingly extended. Nvidia is a hedge position on the IBD leaderboard. Tesla is on the watch list. On the futures, Dow futures fell, or rose rather, 0.1 versus fair value. The S&P tilted lower, and the NASDAQ fell 0.1. The final Fed meeting of 2024 ends Wednesday with the announcement due at 2 p.m. Eastern Time. Markets see a quarter-point rate cut as a virtual lock. This would be 100 basis points. The Fed rate cuts over 3 meetings with economic growth solid and inflation sticky. Investors are betting that the central bank will wrap the dovish rate cut in a semi-hawkish guidance. The latest economic projections and policymakers' dot plot rate forecast will be key, along with Fed Chief Jerome Powell's comments. Now, this is important with what's going on with the market and why we're sitting on a 9-day losing streak. Now, we are looking into potentially volatile oil prices right now, so that is one thing to watch as we go. We'll be continuing to pay attention on that and what's happening there. The job market, and yes, we are continuing to pump money upon money upon money into the Ukraine and other foreign theaters right now as foreign aid goes wild, with a government shutdown looming, which means that government worker paychecks may, depending on what happens with the rest of this Congress, get pushed out until much after the holiday. It may be after Inauguration Day before we see the government open back up. That is definitely a possibility right now, with Rand Paul trying to hold suit with this. I don't anticipate this happening, but Rand Paul being a hardliner on this, given the fact that we haven't been able to read the umpteen thousand-page omnibus that's going to be coming out within the next few hours, we don't know what's happening there. The other thing to watch with this is the rate cut. Now, we have seen rate cuts. We've seen them happen over the last year and a half, 2 years. We hit the peak of the rate, and people were still, for whatever reason, buying houses at the peak. But what's happening with this, and what has happened with this historically, is when we get the rate cut, people run out and try to spend money as fast as they can while the rate is cut. And typically we do see another jump back up right after a rate cut, especially if it's following something big in the news or big in politics with that. And I do think the markets are wary of that. I think that they're wary of the fact that we could see the quarter rate cut. Money becomes fluid again. People start to spend money and spend money and spend money, and we see that inflation rate go back up. So, yes, I would be wary in the markets too. This is not official financial advice, so that is what to watch there. Let's grab one from Yahoo News just briefly. Stock market today, Dow logs longest losing streak since '78 as stocks slide ahead of Fed decision. From Karen Fryer and Alexandria Canal. U.S. stocks fell across the board on Tuesday, with the Dow logging its biggest losing streak in 46 years. The Dow finished the session down roughly 0.6%, registering the 9th straight day of losses. The last 9-day losing streak for the Dow was February 1978. Prior to that, the index suffered an 11-day losing streak in '74 and another in '71. The other major indices dropped in tandem on Tuesday, with the benchmark S&P falling around 0.4% and the NASDAQ losing about 0.3% after the tech-heavy index closed at a record high on Monday. So, yeah, we've got a lot of record to go through, but there is good reason for it going right now. This is probably one of the most uncertain times for markets. This is, again, not official financial advice. If you have financial questions, do direct them to your local or personal financial advisor. My well wishes to Nancy Pelosi, because I wish nobody harm on this channel. I hope that Nancy Pelosi lives a long and healthy life. I hope that she's not in office in said long and healthy life, but I do wish her a long and healthy life. From NPC News, former House Speaker Nancy Pelosi undergoes hip replacement after sustaining injuries in Europe. From Alexandria Marquez, Courtney Kube, Kyle Stewart, and Gary Grumbach. Former Speaker Nancy Pelosi underwent a successful hip replacement in Germany after sustaining an injury during a congressional trip to Luxembourg, a spokesperson said on Saturday. Ian Krager, the spokesperson, described Pelosi as well on the mend. Pelosi is grateful to the U.S. military staff at Landstuhl Regional Medical Center and medical staff at Hospital Kirchberg for their excellent care and kindness. Speaker Pelosi is enjoying the overwhelming outpouring of prayers and well wishes and is ever determined to ensure access to quality health care for all Americans, Krager added. The former speaker was taken by medevac to Landstuhl, a defense official told NBC News after Pelosi was injured Friday in Luxembourg. Well, here's the thing. She's 84 years old, and she insists on constantly wearing a large stiletto heel. At some point, your balance is going to start to give up. You remember that time? And I'm thinking way back to the 2020 days, and we'll be talking about St. George later on in the stream, if I still have a voice by that point. But you remember back in 2020, I didn't get to cover this. My friend Jessica Green did because she was babysitting my show while I was on vacation. Back when this was still a morning and a daily show, of course. Pelosi and ilk went out and wore an African sash that actually came from the tribe that sold all the black people into slavery all those years ago in the 19th century and the 18th century. Unknowingly, they just said, oh, African, this has got to be good. So they unknowingly went and did this. And then she kneeled down in solidarity with St. George and then could not get back up. Bless her heart for that one. Krager added, Speaker Emerita Pelosi is currently receiving excellent treatment from doctors and medical professionals. She continues to work and regrets that she's unable to attend the remainder of the CODEL engagements to honor the courage of our service members during the greatest acts of American heroism in our nation's history. So, in Luxembourg, she slipped and fell down a flight of stairs at 84 years old. Honestly, she frankly is lucky to be alive at that point, and that type of injury does not usually come with a happy ending for somebody who is 84 years old. So again, hope to see a long life from Speaker Pelosi. I wish no ill among anybody, ever. And just, like, recently from this too, Mitch McConnell fell. The gerontocracy is real, folks. We do start to you need to start having questions about the age of leadership in these people. Not necessarily to ban or bar it, but we need to be able to change our rules somewhere into this, so more younger people can run, get access to funds, not have to worry about being shot down from a parking ticket from 30 years ago. And start to replace some of these people. I don't believe in an artificial age limit for any of this. I don't. But we gotta be able to start to cycle more people in. It was an interesting conversation because I had pointed out, somebody I mentioned on the program a lot, Wiz Political, fellow Wisconsinite, who is very, very into DeSantis Republican politics, something I am not, had pointed out that it was stupid and we'd be giving up a seat if somebody were to go in primary Jody Ernst out of Iowa. And I actually took a little bit of offense to that. I think that every politician should be primaried, every single race. I think there should be a primary challenge every single time. You know what happens when we don't get a primary challenge? Excuse me. You know what happens though when we don't get a primary challenge? This. This right here happens when we don't get a primary challenge. And we have two elderly senator and representative who fall down in foreign countries. We don't know if they're with it. We don't know. We can't judge any of their judgment. I mean, their age is there. So, again, long and happy life to Nancy Pelosi. Give me just 1 second. There, let's see if that clears any of this up here. Alright, now to the top news of the day here. From the Hill, government shutdown deadline looms as Rand Paul threatens to delay funding package. From Alexander Bolton. Senator Rand Paul is threatening to hold up a short-term funding package that needs to pass by the end of the day Friday to avoid a government shutdown unless leaders in Congress agree to vote on amendments to offset the cost of new spending in the proposal. Paul has significant leverage to force colleagues to vote on spending cuts because congressional leaders are late in unveiling a continuing resolution, which is expected to fund the government until March 14th. They're not late, by the way. They always do this bullshit. Wait till the last minute and then wonder why we're sitting here scrambling for this at the last minute. Give me a second. Again, apologize. The good news with some of this rough sound is hopefully this will clear some of this bullshit up. But I also don't feel I need to sit and blow my nose right in front of camera, in front of God and everybody either. So, thank you for your patience in that. The House may not even vote on the package until Wednesday or Thursday, which means Senate Majority Leader Chuck U. Schumer will need the cooperation of all 99 other senators to get it through the Senate by the end of the week deadline, because they have to have a voice vote. Unanimous consent. But Paul says he won't yield back time on the floor unless Schumer guarantees fiscal hawks a full debate on the opportunity to vote on amendments to offset the cost of new spending in the proposal. I can't anticipate giving any time of consent to condensed time without debate, and debate means amendments. We'll probably put forward some pay-fors, Paul told The Hill, flagging green energy subsidies as spending that could be cut to offset the cost of disaster relief for North Carolina and other states hit hard by the recent hurricanes. There are some big existing pay-fors, and I think that they should be forced to decide. Do you want to help the people in Asheville, or do you want to help green energy companies, multi-million-dollar companies with subsidies for green energy? That's about $4 billion out there in that, he said. Incoming Senate Majority Leader John Thune on Tuesday warned that weekend work for the Senate was becoming a real possibility given the delays with the funding measure. Because again, they didn't do anything with it until today. It's Tuesday. This is due on Friday. Conservatives in both chambers are furious that they still haven't seen the details of the continuing resolution, which will extend the government funding as well as provide new funding for disaster relief, payments to farmers, and other programs that have local constituencies. I don't know why they're furious about this. It's Tuesday. It's going to be 7,000 fucking pages. And you're not going to get that read and put out by Friday. I don't know what kinds of schemes are hatching here, said Ron Johnson. Disappointment from my estate. I did hear a word of scuttlebutt that the House Republicans aren't real happy with what was the supposed final deal was. Johnson urged Democrat and Republican leaders to extend government funding to avoid a shutdown without adding too much new spending to the proposals. Do it clean, just clean, he implored. Well, fuck Mike Johnson and the horse that Mike Johnson rode in on. I'll tell you that right off the bat. Now, first off, the time to deal with this was in October, when the government was threatening to shut down the last time. And I told you, I chastised Mike Johnson for this at the time. What did I say? Don't fund the government through December. Because they said right out, they were funding it through December. And you knew why they were funding it through December. They didn't want the government shutdown looming over the election, number one. And then number two, the main point in all of this was to make sure Well, the main point of what it should have been was to make sure that you had government funding through Inauguration Day. So that we didn't have to sit down and pass a government funding bill full of pork, full of stupid shit, to avoid a government shutdown in the middle of a lame duck session. While the Biden admin is trying to get in all of their little wish lists. Now, we've seen this before. We saw this the first time Trump was put in office when they did an omnibus for that in 2016, and it lasted through fiscal year 2017 into October of that year. Filled with pork and pet projects for the Obama administration. We've seen this numerous times throughout the Trump administration as well, trying to get this and hold this forward. Hell, we saw this after Trump said that he wasn't going to sign any more continuing resolutions, and he wanted a balanced budget. Which he's probably not going to get at this point, because again, the CR is going to most likely, if they do pass it before Inauguration Day, extend out to fiscal year 2027. We are probably not going to see a balanced budget this term. But lo and behold, Mike Johnson is doing exactly what I predicted he would do in October when we did this the last time. We would get down to the point that there was a lame duck spending bill. It would be, oh no, we've got to keep this open for Inauguration Day, this, that, and the next thing. We've got to keep it open for the holidays. You wouldn't want these government workers to not get their paychecks through Christmas, would you? Are you the Grinch? This kind of stupid bullshit. To make sure that they could get their spending and wish list going into the holidays and going into the next financial or fiscal year. I called this shit in the air. And fuck you, I was right. It does look like they do have one released at this point. This is breaking news. Congress releases short-term funding bill's deadline years to avert a holiday shutdown. From Sahil Kapoor, Scott Wong, and Kyle Stewart. Congressional leaders on Tuesday evening released the text of a short-term bill to keep the government open until March 14th. That's a fucking shock. Now, the question there will be, will Senate Democrats actually sign that? Because I don't think that they will. Because they want to keep it open until October. Rolling it out just a few days ahead of a key deadline to prevent a shutdown after numerous delays. It's funny, March 14th should have been your deadline the last fucking time. Funding expires at the end of Friday, when the House and Senate are hoping to adjourn for Christmas, Hanukkah, and New Year holidays. The 1,547-page bill includes $100.4 billion for disaster relief funding to address damage caused by Hurricanes Helene and Milton. So something domestic, at least. In places like Western North Carolina and Florida. That was roughly what President Biden had requested of Congress. It also includes $10 billion in economic assistance for farmers, a one-year extension of the Farm Bill, a provision reauthorizing a Department of Homeland Security program allowing federal agencies to coordinate and counter threats from drones given public concern about recent sightings. So, wasted money right there. In addition, the CR includes a separate provision to give control of RFK Memorial Stadium to D.C., which would allow the city to negotiate bringing the NFL's commanders back to the district, because they currently play in Maryland. Lawmakers have mere days to prevent a government shutdown ahead of the holidays, putting the pressure on the Republican-led House to break its 72-hour rule between releasing the text and voting on a bill, and the Democrat-run Senate would need unanimous agreement to skip the procedural hurdles and pass it on time, which they thank fucking God do not have. The legislation would throw a messy new shutdown deadline into President-elect Trump's first 100 days in office, which we would actually see spying from him then if he demands to have a balanced budget. I don't think he will, by the way. Omnibus Don. The move carries ups and downs for Republicans who will seize control of the White House and Senate on January, in addition to maintaining a narrow House majority. On one hand, the GOP's trifecta in 25 will give the party more leverage to shape the contours of a full funding deal next year. Government funding is subject to the Senate's 60-vote threshold, so they would need Democrat support to pass it, which they won't get. There's also a benefit for Mike Johnson in punting a difficult spending decision beyond January 3rd, when he will need nearly every House Republican to vote to re-elect him as Speaker. Pushing through a sweeping government funding deal with Democrats around Christmas would face backlash from conservatives in his ranks, imperiling his standing. One moment, please. So a major advantage of talking like this over a live stream is that it is pushing a lot of the crap out of my system that was stubborn otherwise. Alright, back to this. The GOP House majority was trimmed down to 220 to 215 in the last month's election, giving Johnson very little margin for error. The main downside is that it would force Congress to grapple with another deadline early in Trump's term, potentially taking time away from his other priorities, like confirming nominees for the Senate and advancing his party line measures on tax cuts, immigration, funding, and the domestic energy policy. So, there are a lot of moving pieces here. Frankly, if Johnson does push this through, yes, I think he deserves to be removed as Speaker. If he tries to go through and do this without getting something back out of Democrats, he deserves it. I mean, what does he have to lose at this point? His party, if you would actually consider it his party, has control of all three chambers as of January 3rd. Well, January 20th, technically. So there's really nothing to lose at this point, but there's also going to be a lot of scuttlebutt about, again, the poor government workers throughout the holidays who aren't going to get their paychecks, and they're going to have to miss Christmas and might miss their mortgage payment and this and that and the next thing. Alright, moving on from that, because I'm sufficiently pissed off at this point, let's talk about what's happening in my neck of the woods. Excuse me. I can also bring my camera back up, too. Abundant Life Christian school shooting, live updates. Female student named as suspect. Alright, Mark Bocan we have to accept with a problem with guns in this country, because he's going to go straight to gun control and not Democrat control, as usual. Sandy Hook Promise co-CEO says her heart is shattered. Just 2 days before the shooting in Wisconsin, a co-founder and co-CEO of Sandy Hook Promise, Nicole Hockley, remembered the loss of her child in the Sandy Hook school shooting in 2012. She said in a statement that today her heart is shattered. I deeply feel pain for the surviving loved ones that now carry this unbearable pain, and for the community of Madison as it begins to grapple with the trauma during a season of meant for joy. It's ironic for that one based on the fact that, well, the shooter seemed obsessed with the Sandy Hook shooting. So, yesterday, we got news that a Christian school in Madison was shot up. One student, one teacher perished. We do have possible inklings of a motive. There is a manifesto. The law enforcement is reviewing it right now, which means if it is in any way left-leaning, which it appears that it will be, especially coming out of Madison, and going against a Christian school, then yes, we'll never see hide nor hair of this thing. The suspect apparently offed herself in the midst of this. Let's read a little bit more here from the New York Post. Christian school where Natalie Samantha Rupnow went is staunchly conservative, doesn't believe in evolution. From Stephen Vago. The small Christian school where a teen girl went on a bloody massacre in Wisconsin is staunchly conservative, rejecting the theory of evolution and claiming that local government is picked by God according to the statement of faith. That is a bold statement to say about Madison, by the way. The details emerged as cops said that they were still probing a combination of factors when it comes to the motive behind Monday's shooting at Abundant Life Christian School in Madison, where 15-year-old Samantha Rupnow, or Natalie Rupnow, fatally shot another teen student and a teacher while pumping bullets into 3 other teenagers and a teacher. Human beings were created by an immediate act of God and not by a process of evolution, the school's 2-page statement says. We believe that civil government is ordained of God in the punishment of evildoers and for the protection of good. Again, given the fact that you reside in Madison, that is a bold statement. I believe Madison government is one of the most evil governments in this country, possibly in the world. We therefore consider it our duty to pray for our rulers and magistrates and to be obedient to their authority, except in things contrary to the will of God, the statement added. The school is a founding member of Impact Christian Schools, a cluster of Christian centers of higher learning in Wisconsin. The group believes God wants more from education, according to the website. Elementary and Schools Relation Board Director Barbara Weirs echoed the school's beliefs at a press conference on Monday. In spite of the tragedy, God is working, and we believe that God is good in everything, and that He turns beauty into ashes. He is our foundation at Abundant Life's Christian School. We exist to bring and to build the disciples of Jesus Christ, so we have complete faith that He will carry us through this, rather. This is big to me, by the way. I used to work in Madison. I never lived in Madison. I lived in Dane County. But I used to work directly with this school. Like, I've dealt with the people in the administration from this before. And it does appear that, yes, the people involved here are students. The shooter, the people who died, etc. But of course, everybody went straight to the guns on this one. There's been some question about the identity of the shooter. Tara Bull, breaking the alleged Wisconsin Christian school shooter, is Samantha Rupnow, which we've learned that since then is Natalie Rupnow. There are more details coming in. A sneak peek of the manifesto, which was posted to a Discord. Allegedly. No proof that this is part of the manifesto. Women are the only hope for this wretched world, but even women have been brainwashed by amoids for too long. They've internalized the patriarchy and turn on each other, always begging for male approval and validation. It's disgusting. I realize the truth. Men are irredeemable. Rad Femme Hitler was effing vindicated now. They can't be reformed or redeemed. They're a scourge upon the earth. Their only solution is to totally exterminate them and every foid who worships these parasites. Every single male must be wiped out. This is a quote. Don't ban me, YouTube. From babies to the elderly, only then can women be free to create a new world. I don't know what they're going to create a new world with because, well, you need 2 parts to carry on your species. I'll be a pioneer. I'll be the first to take the first step. I don't care if they're fathers, brothers, husbands, sons, teachers, police, especially... Oh, we definitely can't say that word on YouTube. Or politicians. I've been trying to kill them all. This is my mission. Only when their parasitic sludge has been expunged from this earth is when then the world will be clean and women can start over. It's the only way. In approximately 10 minutes, I should be deceased. It's strange, but it feels good. Well then, one of the first things I have to say about this is it's amazing when you have radically progressive people who seem to think that that particular N-word that I avoided in the middle of this manifesto, you put a Zima or two or a wine cooler into them, and they turn into, well, this. And we have some other stuff from that as well. We've got updates from this. It's a video. Give me a sec, we'll actually watch this. And it's I promise it's not just because I have to turn the camera off and cough for a second.
Officers responded to an active shooter. They responded per our protocol. They found the person who they believe was responsible, who was down, deceased. We know that it's juvenile. We know that there are other persons who have lost their lives.
And they've got more on this Luigi dude from the United Health CEO thing, which that's a weird one to begin with too. I'm going to try and play it by ear on how I feel today, but I might have to cut this one short. Because every time I start to talk excessively, more of the stuff clears out. I'm trying, I really am. Wisconsin school shooting updates. Police say a rampage motive, a combination of factors from Chris Can, Sophie Carson, Claire Reed, and Minna Arshad. A combination of factors motivated the deadly shootings at a private Christian school in Wisconsin that left 3 dead, including the suspect, and injured 6 others, Madison police said on Tuesday. Chief Sean Barnes did not provide details, citing the ongoing investigation, but said investigators were interviewing the suspect's classmates to understand whether bullying was one of the multiple factors. Most likely, by the way. Police said that 15-year-old Natalie Ruppnow opened fire Monday evening in a classroom at Abundant Life Christian School, a K-12 school that serves about 400 students. Ruppnow died on the way to a local hospital from what police believe to be a self-inflicted gunshot wound, Barnes said. Two students were in critical condition as of Tuesday afternoon, authorities said. 3 other students and 1 other teacher suffered non-life-threatening injuries. 2 of the victims were released from nearby hospitals. Police originally said a 2nd grader made the first 911 call reporting an active shooter, but Barnes corrected the earlier statement in a news conference on Tuesday, saying a 2nd grade teacher had actually made the call. Identifying a motive is the agency's top priority. Well, with that little bit of manifesto that I just read, I think we know what the motivation was. He urged anyone who knew Ruppnow to come forward, especially if they have knowledge what she was going through or feeling before the shooting. He added that police were working to verify whether writings circulating online were written by the suspect. We are working to authenticate the document that you see online that some are referring to as a manifesto, he said, urging people not to share it until it's verified by investigators. Which again, given the content, is, if it is, quote, verified by investigators, that means that we're never going to see a hide nor hair of the fucking thing again. From the Associated Press, police chief says motive for Wisconsin school shooting was a combination of factors. From Scott Bauer and Debbie Shastri. The motive for a shooting that killed a teacher and a student or wounded others at a Wisconsin school appears to be a combination of factors. A police chief said Tuesday as he appealed to the public to share what they might know about the 15-year-old girl who attacked a study hall before shooting herself. Sean Barnes, Medicine police chief, offered no details about a possible motive, though he said bullying at Abundant Life Christian School should be investigated. Barnes said that people are also investigating writings that may have been penned by Natalie Rupnow and could shed light on her actions. Barnes made remarks at a news conference, but left without taking questions from reporters, leaving the Madison mayor and Dane County executive to face the media. They declined to disclose the names of the victims. Leave them alone, Mayor Satya Rhodes Conway snapped. Abundant Life is a non-denominational Christian school, pre-K through high school, with approximately 400 students in Madison, the state capital. Mackenzie Truitt placed a red poinsettia at the school to honor the victims Tuesday. She said her brother's a graduate and some of his friends were wounded. Long says ordained is not the same as personally chosen. They're saying that God desires for there be civil governments among men for the reasons they stated. Yeah, but again, it's Madison. No, I don't care, AP. I'm not donating to you. Barbara Weirs, school's director of elementary and school relations, said that when practice safety routines, leaders always announce that it's a drill. That didn't happen Monday, the last week before Christmas break. When they heard lockdown, lockdown, they knew it was real. So again, the big thing is the why. Apparently, Conor McGregor and Logan Paul are going to go at it too, by the way. I thought Logan Paul, no, that's Jake Paul. I thought Jake Paul was out of this already, but I guess Logan still has it in him. Possible manifesto from WKOW, and I've got one from the Daily Wire for it as well, from Danny Maxwell. Investigators with the Madison Police Department are working to determine the motive behind the shooting at the Abundant Life Christian School on Monday. Everyone was targeted, Police Chief Sean Barnes said in a news conference on Tuesday, adding everyone was put in danger. Chief Barnes said his detectives are aware and examining a written document or manifesto that the suspected shooter, a 15-year-old student at the school, may have written. He said at the time, detectives had not determined whether Rupnow was the author and asked that the document not be shared. What does the Daily Wire have to say about this one? Police looking into possible writings belonging to Wisconsin school shooter from Zach Jewell. Now, the Wire, of course, will not give the name because, well, they think they're better than that or something. Madison, Wisconsin, police are looking into a possible manifesto or letter written by the 15-year-old female shooter who killed a classmate and teacher and wounded several others before turning the gun on herself at ALCS on Monday morning. Police revealed the identity of the shooter, who will not be named per Daily Wire policy. We know that. Social media posts have circulated claiming to reveal what the shooter wrote before the fatal shootings, but so far police have not confirmed the authenticity of any alleged manifesto. Police chief also addressed unsubstantiated claims that have spread on social media claiming the shooter identified as trans. Yeah, that one went away pretty quick. Left wing for sure. I will not begrudge her of that, but trans, no. This does appear to be a woman. And quite frankly, I don't think that's even important, he said, knowing that the last 7 mass shooters all identified as trans. I don't think it's important at all. I don't think that whatever happened today has anything to do with how he or she may have wanted to identify, and I wish people would kind of leave their own personal biases out of this. So, will we know? Probably not. We'll continue to watch this and see where this goes. Let's keep moving. The drones. Drones spotted across Northeast, likely coming from inside the U.S., military expert says. So, a large amount of drones were seen flying over New Jersey, sometimes landing in New Jersey, sometimes being shot down in New Jersey. They're very, very close to LaGuardia, which means that they're shutting down flight going from LaGuardia to Europe at some point. They're invading airspace. Nobody seems to know what the hell is going on with this, and everybody seems to have their own theory about this. From Audrey Conklin. I think we'll finish this up here, and I gotta call it a night. We'll pick this back up on Thursday. These suspicious drones people are spotting across the Northeast in recent weeks may be originating from inside the U.S., according to a military expert. Civilians and lawmakers have reported drone sightings in New Jersey, Pennsylvania, New York, Connecticut, Ohio, and other states, with local and federal law enforcement offering little information about the aerial activity, most of which has been spotted at night. Some of the drones are as large as 6 feet in diameter, according to the New Jersey State Rep Dawn Fantasia, who was briefed on the matter last week. The concern is definitely valid. One thing I believe the government knows the source of these drones, and I believe the source of these drones is from inside the U.S., especially the larger ones. Colonel William Dunn, president of Strategic Resilience Group, a government consulting group, told Fox News Digital. It's very difficult to fly an airplane the size of a vehicle into the U.S. without being detected, so I believe the drones originate inside the U.S. Dunn, who was an attack helicopter pilot, spent 33 years in the Marine Corps, added that a large drone has got to be refueled. So the drones flying over New Jersey that are 6 feet in diameter would have to be refueled somewhere within the U.S. We have, especially on the East Coast, I'm very familiar with our Air Defense Identification Zone. It's very difficult to fly anything into the U.S. It's not impossible, but it's very difficult, Dunn said, recalling a time when he was flying a Cobra helicopter on an offshore route that he forgot to appropriately acknowledge and call the watchers. They found me pretty quickly, Dunn said. We're probably having U.S. drones as well as some of the smaller drones that are being flown in to do specific purpose. Now the question is, what are these drones doing? My belief is they're surveilling something, Dunn said. They're looking for something, either chemical weapon, bioweapon, or maybe radiation. You know, there's been a lot of talk about having an open southern border, and a lot of talk that there's an imminent terrorist threat. I don't think it's that. I want to tell you what I think this is. In all honesty, I think it's something to get people talking. And arguing and fighting. A divided populace is an easily controlled populace. The people who get labeled instantly conspiracy nuts are all going to say that it's U.S. government. The war hawks are going to say it's Iran, it's Russia, it's this, that, the next thing. The Democrats are going to say it's Russia. The MAGA people are going to say it's Ukraine. And we're all going to fight over this one. I do think that that Dunn is right, though. I think they came from in the U.S. and honestly, I think they're just there to spar up conversation. Raw's Alert says the 911 center is receiving a report from a caller that an unknown drone is landing near a solar plant field and sucking up power. A 911 call center in North Stonington, Connecticut received a report from an individual named Lisa who claimed to have video evidence of a suspicious unidentified drone. According to Lisa, the drone was repeatedly landing near an open solar panel plant field and appeared to be drawing power directly from the facility. Lisa expressed concerns about potential damage to the solar plant or unauthorized data collection. Local authorities have been notified. Let's listen to the video.
We've been a call for a suspicious drone sighting in North Stonington. The reporting party name is Lisa. She's driving back to Groton but believe she has video of drones in the area that were landing in the solar panel farm, sucking power from the solar panel so they can continue their flights. You'd call her. The Pinchena call for a suspicious drone sighting in North Stonington. The reporting's party name is Lisa. She's driving back to Broughton, but believes she has video of drones in the area that were landing in the solar panel farm, sucking power from the solar panel so they can continue their flights. You'd call her.
So, and the questions that I have of this, of course, are what are the situations? What's the technology that something like that could be sucking up power? How do you know that it's sucking up power? Is it flowing? Do you see energy transferring to it? I mean, are you stoned? I know it says Stonington. This one I don't think I buy. From CNN, what officials are doing and suggesting to learn more about the possible drone sightings from Zoe Sotil. As a flurry of possible drone sightings have triggered local politicians to press federal officials for more information, lawmakers have proposed a variety of different methods for dealing with the drones. There's anti-drone legislation being floated in Congress. There are helicopters monitoring drones in Pennsylvania, and the U.S. government is sending drone detection and tracking systems to 2 military facilities in New Jersey, sources told CNN on Monday, which I don't think they need because, again, I think that these are all domestic myself. At the same time, the White House has sought to reassure the public and said that most of what are reported as drone sightings are actually lawfully operated aircraft or even stars. We assessed that the sightings to date include a combination of lawful commercial drones, hobbyist drones, and law enforcement drones. By the way, that's a possibility too. Although hobbyist drones, you don't usually get to 6 feet in diameter. That gets to be a pretty expensive hobby at that point. As well as manned fixed-wing aircrafts, helicopters, and even stars that were mistakenly reported as drones, White House National Security Communications Advisor John Kirby told reporters on Monday. We have not identified anything anomalous or any national security or public safety risks over civilian airspace in New Jersey or other states in the Northeast. Federal investigators have cleared more than 5,000 reported sightings of suspicion, Kirby told CNN's Kate Bolduan on Tuesday, but the FBI is still looking into another 100 leads. We've even set up visual observers, and everything we're seeing as to date, our assessment tells us that these are all commercial drones, hobbyist drones, or law enforcement drones, operating legally and lawfully, Kirby said. A number of states where possible drones have been reported have announced that they're deploying drone detection systems. The systems sent by the government to New Jersey are in the process of moving to Picatinny Arsenal in northern New Jersey and the Naval Weapons Station in Earl in central New Jersey, officials said. It was not immediately clear where the systems would arrive or be operational. Let's see what USA Today has to say. Tips pouring over 5,000 drone sightings, reason to worry, government says no. That in and of itself is reason for me to worry. Congressman Jeff Van Drew has claimed that this is Iran, claiming that Iran has stationed a mothership off the U.S. East Coast, reportedly launching drones now flying over New Jersey. Now, the thing with Iran, and this will be important to bring up into this, is that Iran actually is good at drone technology. Admittedly. Russia buys Iranian drones. But to keep a, quote, mothership up there floating with enough fuel to keep refueling these thousands of drones as they come back, that's a little bit more difficult. To have something big enough sit there and fixed and float for days at this point. It's still up there, apparently. To have these things go down do a swoop, come back up, refuel, go back down, do a swoop, refuel. I have questions, but let's listen to what Jeff Van Drew has to say.
In focus now, Republican Congressman Jeff Van Drew of New Jersey, member of the House Judiciary Committee on the Hill right now. How do you address this at this point?
Well, here's the real deal, Harris. You know, I'm also on the Transportation Committee, on the Aviation Subcommittee, and I've gotten to know people. And from very high sources, very qualified sources, very responsible sources, I'm going to tell you the real deal. Iran launched a mothership probably about a month ago that contains these drones. That mothership is off, I'm going to tell you the deal. It's off the east coast of the United States of America. They've launched drones, is everything that we can see or hear. And again, these are from high sources. I don't say this lightly. Now, you know, we know there was a probability it could have been our own government. We know it's not our own government because they would have let us know. It could have been some really glorified hobbyist or hobbyists that were doing something unbelievable. They don't have the technology. But let's pretend that's possible. The third possibility was somebody, an adversarial country, doing this. Know that Iran made a deal with China to purchase drones, motherships, and technology in order to go forward. The sources I have are good. They can't reveal who they are because they are speaking to me in confidentiality. These drones should be shot down. Whether it was some crazy hobbyist that we can't imagine, or whether it is Iran, and I think it very possibly could be, they should be shot down. We are not getting the full deal, and the military is on alert with this.
Look, you've given...
And I just saw another one over on X while that video was playing with another congressman saying that they're all from China. I would cite the gross incompetence of our federal government at this point. But let's be fair, at this point that'd be like beating a dead horse. Because nobody seems to know what the hell is going on. Chris Smith, adding to this one, this is a much shorter clip. Chris Smith says a New Jersey police officer observing 50 drones that came in off the ocean, and that a Coast Guard ship was followed by between 12 and 30 objects. No one knows anything, which is a manifesto for our government in and of itself. Let's listen.
Last night I was on the beach in Island State Park in Ocean County with the sheriff. He has been working it every single night. He's got his own tethered drones chronicling. One of his officers 2 nights ago saw 50 drones come in off the ocean right there. So we thought maybe they'll replicate it. They didn't, but we thought it was a possibility. Then last night we had a number of other people there, including a commanding officer from the Coast Guard, who said that one of their 47-foot motor lifeboats was followed by between 12 and 30 of these drones as they went through the water, followed right behind them. Yeah. So last night I was on the beach in Island State.
So we have that. Let's listen to this Chinese allegation. Nick Sorter X's out mystery drones in New Jersey are Chinese spy drones, according to House Foreign Affairs Committee Chair McCall. Let's listen to a bit of that. That's a 4.5-minute clip, so we're not going to do the whole thing.
On the drone sightings, I did ask you, do you have any idea what line of questioning you all are going with the public and lawmakers? Obviously, we all have a lot of questions about what those are.
Yeah, we want answers. The response that I'm getting is that we don't know whose drones these are. I was with the NASA administrator, Bill Nelson. He said that these drones have been reported over military sites, military bases. I would not think those are friendly. I would think those are adversarial. In fact, NASA seems to be picking up more than our military is with respect to the drones. So I think Congress is going to pursue this. I know the House Intelligence Committee is having a hearing on this. We need to identify who is behind these drones. My judgment, based on my experience, is that those that are over our military sites are adversarial and most likely are coming from the People's Republic of China.
Do you think you'll be satisfied with what you hear today?
Probably not. I think they're going to say they don't know. And that's a concern in and of itself, that if we have drones flying around military bases and we can't identify where they came from or who's responsible for them. I know there are a lot of commercial drones out there, and Secretary Mayorkas has talked about this. That's fine, but the ones flying over our military bases, by definition, I would say are adversarial. We need to know who is behind that because I believe they're spy drones. And the PRC, Chinese, Communist China, is very good at this stuff. And we know they bought land around military bases. This would be very consistent with their policy over the last couple of years.
So this guy thinks that they're Chinese. At this point, I don't know why we don't have one of these in somebody's hands. Shot down at this point, and I mean realistically, yeah, shooting at any sort of aircraft is against several penal codes. And yes, drones qualify as aircraft. It is a felony to fire upon an aircraft in this country, especially an unidentified aircraft. But with this many people paranoid, I don't know why somebody hasn't risked it yet at this point. I know it was a long-running joke between my cousin and I when Amazon started talking about sending stuff out by drone so they could have same-day delivery. Especially as they were expanding their distribution centers in Wisconsin. He said, and I still believe that, those won't last in Wisconsin. It's not because of the cold weather. It's because every single one of us got a Red Ryder for our 5th birthday, if not before. And if it's not a 22 that takes the thing out of the sky, or a 30-06, it'll at least be a small steel pellet. Shot at sharpshooter range from an air rifle. And then hell, then we know. Somebody would probably put their eye out too. From NPC News, White House presses for Congress to provide more authority to address drones in U.S. airspace. From Rebecca Shabbat and Carol Kenny. As public concern over drones flying in the skies above New Jersey and other East Coast states has escalated, the White House wants Congress to pass legislation that would give the federal, state, and local governments greater authority to address drones that fly in U.S. airspace. We do need better authorities to deal with the growing ecosystem of drones in U.S. airspace, National Security Council spokesman John Kirby said Tuesday in an interview on NBC's Today. Gaps exist in federal, state, and local government authorities to deal with drones, Kirby said. Let's listen to a little bit of that.
And joining us now, retired Admiral John Kirby, the White House National Security Communications Advisor. Admiral Kirby, good morning. Well, we just saw this accusation that the administration is not being forthright about what it knows, that it knows more than it's letting on, and I know you're here to clear it up. So what do you know about these sightings? And perhaps more importantly at this point, how do you know it?
We've been sharing everything that we are learning with the public in various settings and venues, Savannah, and we have done some analysis over the last several days. That analysis, right now, our assessment leads us to conclude that these are lawful and legal aviation activities, manned and unmanned, drones and civil aviation aircraft or commercial aircraft. Now, look, we've got 5,000 tips that we've gone through. The FBI is still working on about 100 leads from those 5,000 tips and sightings that we still have to triangulate. We still have to finish looking at, and we'll do that. And as we do that, if we learn more, if we learn something different, well, my goodness, you know, we'll come out and talk about it. We are being as open and as transparent with the American people as we can be. What we won't do is speculate or hypothesize about what you know, something we don't know. Now, we know that there's no national security threat. We know there's no public safety threat right now.
It seems like, you know, in a way, the White House is saying, okay, nothing to see here, essentially nothing nefarious to see here. People are, in fact, seeing something with their own eyes. So let me just narrow the question. Is there an uptick in drone activity in this Northeast region? Have you observed that?
Well, there is a lot of drone activity on the Northeast corridor. There's no question about that. Thousands per day. There's, as your reporter rightly noted, there's 1 million registered drones with the FAA here in the country.
More than usual? That's what people are seeing.
I'm not prepared to say that there's more than usual, but there is a lot of activity, and it has increased over the last several years. The ecosystem of drones in this country has just grown exponentially. Therefore, their use has grown exponentially. And look, in the wintertime, when the sun goes down earlier, you got more hours a night, these things are legal and lawful, so they're flying using their lights so you can see them. And if all the video and imagery, you can see their lights. They're doing the right things. So it's just possible that people are seeing more of them now. But I don't want to downplay the fact that there's an awful lot of drone activity over the skies of the United States, and we do need better authorities to deal with that growing ecosystem of drones in U.S. airspace. There are.
See, here's the problem with all this and what John Kirby is trying to say. And yes, Kirby is in CYA mode. He is covering his own ass. The problem with all of this, though, is the fact that if these are regular commercially flying drones with licenses, we'd be able to identify whose drone they are, probably bring these people out in public, or somebody would have stepped the fuck forward by this point. Or been arrested, or something. Alright, expanding out to Ohio for this one. More mysterious drones spotted over Ohio Air Base now, from Daniel Langenfield. Just days after the Wright-Patterson Air Force Base in Dayton shut down its airspace for hours because of mysterious drone activity. Officials report more small unmanned aerial systems have been spotted in the vicinity and over the air base. According to a Tuesday press release, the additional drone incursions took place late evening and early morning of Monday, December 16th and Tuesday, December 17th. Similar to the drones reported near the airbase, Friday, December 13th and Saturday, December 14th, officials say the number fluctuated and they ranged in size and configuration. That's Latin for we have no fucking clue. Long says, one thought is, if this is a foreign adversary operation, and that's a big if, might the so-called mothership be a miniature submersible? If it were a small nuclear-powered submersible, they could almost be certainly recharging the drones with electrical power. And we know both Iran and China have the tech for nuclear reactors. Yes, they do. I could see that if there... The problem that I have with that is people are saying that the mothership, so-called, is coming out of the sky. Plus, the way I understand the tech, if a nuke sub just sits there, it doesn't make much noise at all. That's also correct. And you can surface and dive just using the ballast tanks. Also correct. Yeah, there are entire Tom Clancy novels about the fact that you can barely hear a nuclear sub. I'd be interested in that theory, but then I need to know what it is that people are seeing in the sky that these things are leaving and returning to. According to a Tuesday press release, the additional incursions took place late evening and early morning of Monday and Tuesday of this week, similar to the drones reported. Yeah, we read that one already. Installation leaders have determined that none of the incursions impacted base residents, facilities, or assets. The Wright-Patterson Air Force Base airspace was unaffected by the incursions, read the release. Our units continue to monitor the airspace and are working with local law enforcement authorities and mission partners to ensure the safety of the base personnel, facilities, and assets. Also going to landlocked Ohio, though then too, because that's quite a haul from the ocean where a submersible will be sitting. It is worth an investigation, I'll say that. Joint statement below was issued Monday from the U.S. Department of Homeland Security. There are more than 1 million drones lawfully registered with the FAA in the U.S., and there are thousands of commercial hobbyists and law enforcement drones lawfully in the sky on any given day. Again, we get that, but why is this just happening now, is the question. And how many tips do we get on a usual day? Because we've had drones since like 2012. Also in Washington, mysterious drone spotted in Tacoma, from David Dentling. I gotta pull the map up for that one, because isn't Tacoma like way to the east of Washington? Or is my mind deceiving me from lack of oxygen, and that's still up on the coast? Well, it's not on the coast, but it isn't that far inland either. South of Seattle, on the Sound, so yeah, coming off the coast, that would be not necessarily out of the question. God, the Mogwai's not here to be right this time. Because we pulled out the map, and given the way that my nose is running right now, there is a good possibility of a Thursday show this week. On the heels of a drone scare in New Jersey, where federal and government officials are investigating multiple reports of drones, people in Tacoma claim to be seeing similar objects in the night sky. People claim these drone-like flying objects range in size. Some are the size of a small car, others are a little bigger than a typical consumer drone. Regardless of size, some have been seen flying over military bases, various infrastructure. Dozens of people across the Puget Sound have claimed to see these drones at night, including Shane and Kirsten Eldwin. They live in West Tacoma and claim that they've seen 10 large drones moving towards the water. They had their own little light show going on up there, said Kristen Eldwin. They were flashing red, green, and white lights. Well, red, green, and white. Merry Christmas! And when you get the shape of it, it's almost like a small plane. It doesn't seem like anybody really knows what it is, and it's happening all over the place now in Tacoma, said Kristen's husband, Shane. The couple shared video of the mysterious drone event. It's a 3-minute long interview. According to reports, these Tacoma drones are similar to the ones popping up in New Jersey, DC, and beyond. Local officials say they received reports of drones flying near the Narrows Bridge, flying over Commencement Bay, and most recently above the Eldwin's family home. What do they know? Uh-oh, Vaughn wrote a book. There's a very good reason why they might launch and land the smaller drones from an airborne mothership, which could itself be a much larger drone. Wind conditions at sea tend to get worse the closer you get to the surface, which would probably make landing the smaller drones directly onto a mini-sub extremely difficult. Fair. So, they're all over the place at this point. Yay. Now for the really fun stuff. From the New York Post, missing radioactive material in New Jersey sparks drone theories. They're looking for something, the mayor says. From Patrick Riley. A New Jersey mayor warned Tuesday that the troubling drone sightings over the state may be linked to missing radioactive material, although federal officials say the amount poses no serious threat either way. I think they have to say that. Belleville Mayor Michael Melham said the drones flying in a grid-like pattern over his Essex County township appear to be looking for something. What might they be looking for? Maybe that's radioactive material, Melham told Fox TV's Good Day New York. It was a shipment. It arrived at its destination. The container was damaged and was empty, Melham said. The U.S. Nuclear Regulatory Commission issued an alert earlier this week regarding the piece of medical equipment used for cancer scans that was lost in transit December 2nd while being shipped from the Naja Cancer Center in Newfield in Gloucester County in southern New Jersey. The device, an Eckert and Ziegler model HEGL 0132, was to be properly discarded, but its shipping container arrived at its destination damaged and empty, the agency said. The item, known as a pin source, contains a tiny amount of the radioactive chemical germanium-68, which is used in PET scanners to calibrate the accuracy. The radiation source is deemed less than a Category 3 on the International Atomic Energy Agency's scale, which means it's very unlikely to cause permanent injury to individuals or contain a very small amount of radioactive material that would not cause any permanent injury. News of the missing equipment caused alarm on social media, with some netizens speculating that the enigmatic drones patrolling New Jersey skies are frantically scouring the area for the radioactive waste. But how would they find what appears to be quite a small item? The unfounded theory was also propagated by John Ferguson, CEO of a remote aircraft system company in Kansas, who claimed in a video viewed nearly 3 million times on X that the drones are trying to smell a gas leak, radioactive material, or something else. Well, it's terrifying to me that radioactive material is missing right now, so... Excuse me. That one snuck up out of nowhere. And the last one. For the criminality of it. From The Hill. Why shooting down mystery drones carries big risks. From Brad Dress. The buzz around the mysterious flurry of drones above New Jersey and other nearby states has prompted some officials, including Trump, to call for the U.S. military to shoot down the mystery objects. But such measures come with major risks. Experts say the objects could be legitimate aircraft, helicopters, or other innocuous objects. 1 second. Yeah, we're powering down after this one. And debris from falling drones poses a threat to people and property on the ground. We'll address that in just a moment. If people start shooting, things have to come down, said Jeffrey Wells, a visiting fellow at the National Security Institute at George Mason University, who focuses on the threats from technology. Many of the sightings appear to be aircraft or hobbyist drones, and the Biden admin was stressed that there's no present threat to any government installations or military sites. The frenzy around the swarm of flying objects points to the need for government to increase its transparency with the public about what it's tracking, experts told The Hill this week. Wells said he was worried about that, and without answers, the public might start shooting down drones themselves, which could lead to a fatal accident. There's a whole bunch of risks that come with that. He said if you damage someone's $500 drone, big deal. But if you hit a police helicopter or medevac helicopter or utility company's drone that's out there to see where a downed wire is, you're creating some additional life risk. The drone sightings, which began around late November, primarily in northern New Jersey and New York City, have now spread to several other states along the East Coast, mostly. But for the past week, the drones have become a national story, leading to confusion about the air of mystery as to their origins. Members of Congress and the New Jersey and New York state officials are among those who have brought their concern to council to social media, calling for government to take concrete action to stop downplaying the concerns. Trump last week called for the U.S. to clarify what's happening and to shoot them down. So, we had this conversation, too, by the way, when the balloons were going over the United States. Although, with a balloon, there was less of a risk if something got shot down at that point. But it's just like the big myth and the big theory of if you want to shoot off or scare off an intruder, shoot your gun straight up in the air. You are still responsible for what comes out of that weapon, and in the event of something flying around, you are responsible for what you take down and what it lands on as well. You will be held liable even if it's a foreign adversarial drone. If it's an Iranian drone, like the Congress claims, and you shoot it down and it hits somebody's dog, well, you just committed a felony. You killed somebody's dog in cold blood. Congratulations. Furthermore, if there is detecting material, a Geiger counter, things like that, chemicals that could get out into the air, and the debris crashes on the ground, we have another major Palestine, Ohio, East Palestine incident. I don't know why I kept thinking Lebanon when it was Palestine. Say that it is an unmanned drone with a weapon on it or something. God forbid it be a nuclear warhead, but I don't think that they would do something that stupid. It falls down, the nuclear warhead sets off. You've killed 100,000 people at that point. I do want to get some answers, and I'm surprised that none of them have been shot down yet, but I do not advise to it. This is not official legal advice. Check with your local law enforcement, of course, on that, but I don't advise that. There's a difference between not being surprised and, well, telling people to do or to not do something. Long says, how would the drone search for it? Geiger counters. I know we've got a shortage of low background steel, but a government can certainly get its hands on some pre-made counters. Yes, that's absolutely true and accurate, but the problem with that is, if you're looking for a literal needle in a haystack of something that was stolen like that, I mean, they showed what the product was. Let's back up to this one. It was in one of the advertisements as we went through. I mean, this is a needle. So, no idea. But we are going to power down early tonight. I apologize because I can't give you the quality of show that I promised to give you. I've done my best. I know that we had a lot of stuff to talk about. We got through the drones. We got through the government shutdown. So on Thursday, we're going to pick up where we left off. We're going to talk about Merchan. We'll talk about the Trump news for the week. We've got the Chauvin stuff I really want to talk about and go over here today. And we'll do things that I like and things that I hate. But I can hear it in my voice. I know I'm going to have to shut up the monitor, the camera, and the sound and blow my nose again at some point. So we're going to pick this back up on Thursday. We'll figure out whether or not we'll be doing Bioshock tomorrow, depending on what happens at work tomorrow. I know, again, a lot of this stuff is starting to come out my nose, thankfully, because it's been stuck in there since fucking Thursday. So we gotta call it early. It happens sometimes. It happens to the best of us. So let's get this moved over here. Let's find up the outro music and let's head out of here. That's up there. Let's get the outro music and let's go. So, Thursday, 6:30 p.m. Central Time. We'll be back here to finish off the news stack. It might take another 2 hours. We had quite a bit on there. But it's just a couple of hits for each story. It's not something I think we have to spend a lot of time on. I mean, I know I'll be harping on the Derek Chauvin thing because I have a lot of problems with that, but we'll be going on with that. But thank you for watching. For tonight's episode, however far we got, this will be back on the audio platform by tomorrow morning, on the video platforms by tomorrow night, so look for that. This live stream, of course, is going to be private. If you like what you saw, do feel free to share out. The audio platform usually goes a little bit better than the video platform, so. And we are kicking ass on the audio platform too, by the way, so hopefully by Thursday we'll have voice. Hopefully by tomorrow at 7:30 we'll have voice back and I can go through some more Bioshock, maybe finish it. I don't know, because I don't know how much we have left of that, but we'll see what happens there. We will be playing by ear. Announcements will be in Edgeworld's announcements on the Discord and on the X as well, so go and follow that, JEdgar102 over on X. The link for the Discord is in the description of all the major platforms here. Take care. Have a wonderful night. Thanks for watching. Thanks for putting up with me switching the camera and the microphone off numerous times throughout the stream to blow my nose. We'll see you here on Thursday for more news, more headlines, and more contemporary. Take care. Have a wonderful night. We will see you then. And until then, I'm J. Edgar, and this is Contemporary. Take care.